concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What is up, you guys? It is Monday night. I am super stoked. Also, Eric FPV. I'm super stoked to be here. I hope you guys are super stoked to be here. Wait a minute. The live stream is not starting soon. It is. It started now. How's it going now? We have some real what is this, a Dutch angle? Oh my god. Oh my god. Is it this way? Oh, there you go. Woo! Wow. Super professional. Wouldn't be a Bardwell live stream. Alex, did you not set the camera on the right preset? Alex, that's my recording preset. Jesus, man. No fancy POV cam today, Tony RZ. I forgot to turn the GoPro on before the stream. That's literally the extent of it. It's a little Dutch. I mean, it's always a little Dutch, but it's centered. It's centered up. It's always slightly tilted. That's on purpose. That's, it's always that way, but as long as I am centered. See, wait, no, look. Okay. Now, am I centered up? I'm not quite. Hang on. It's pretty centered. That's pretty centered. Okay. Oh, there you go. Alexander Romanenko, thank you. My beard is glowing. I shaved my neck for the interview yesterday. How'd it go? Oh, ow. A little tender there. The beautiful thing about having a beard is that when you don't shave, it really is a lot. You can go a lot further. What is that overlay from, Kyle K? That overlay is just my camera over. That's my. It's a Micro Four Thirds camera, and that's just what it's switching between a clean HDMI output and a not clean HDMI output. So, where was the stick overlay on the latest 3 packs a day Batty FPV? The truth is that I set it up to record, but it was a data flash chip, and I let it get full. And so I didn't have it. I forgot to. I was like, I could probably do 3 or 4 flights without filling up the data flash chip. It filled up, and I didn't have stick overlay for it. So that was Aaron Ciotti's fault. That was Ciotti's quad. Ciotti, listen, Ciotti. Next time you send me a free quad that you made just for me, just because you think it's good and you want me to fly it, I expect you to have an SD card on there for black box. What are you doing? Jesus, Ciotti. I did like the way that quad flew. I did a little interview with Ciotti talking about his tuning philosophy. That's going to be coming up on my channel soon, as well as my thoughts about his tune. Soon, for some value of soon. But I don't have that quad anymore because I took it to Atlanta for the fly day in Atlanta, and I smashed the crap out of it and broke it. And I gave it back to him. It was like, thanks for the quad, dude. Flies real good. I didn't. I think I broke the camera. But the camera was, it was still in good shape. And I said to him, look, put a new camera in it and send it to somebody else. Here's what I've discovered. When you make an old-fashioned, put a little maraschino cherry juice in it. Now, some people would say that a drink with maraschino cherry juice in it is girly, to which I would say MK, I do have footage from Atlanta. I didn't really make a... I'm terrible. I should have made a vlog. I didn't make a vlog or anything. I just went and flew. I do have some flight footage I'm working on an edit. I hope to put an edit in. But here's the thing. We went to that one location that you saw in Botgrinder's video. And that location, I feel like I got some good stuff, but I kind of feel like I didn't quite wreck it as much as I would like to have. So I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. That's cheating, right? If you didn't get the rip, you didn't get the rip. But I think I'm going to go back over Thanksgiving weekend when it'll be empty and try and do a little more and try and get some better. Yeah, I don't know. No, I didn't make a vlog, T. Simon. I don't know. I just have I don't know. Vlogging. I am not the kind of person to say I just didn't feel like I was in the mood. I'm a firm believer that you if something is like your job, you do your job, right? But I don't see vlogging. Vlogging is like a creative outlet that I do when it's fun, and I don't want to push myself to do it. Like something like I make freaking videos every day. Like literally I just do it. That's just what I do. But vlogging is like when I first started doing Rotor Riot trips, something about the novelty of being in all the new places and around all the new people, I was really able to put together some interesting vlogs. It's really hard to vlog and be doing something at the same time because some part of your mind is always thinking about the vlogging and thinking like, what's the through line? Vlogging, to me at least, is not just pull out a camera and do whatever you're doing. You're scripting, you're like not literally scripting, but you're writing, directing, and producing the episode at the same time as you're doing the thing. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to freaking do the thing. So no vlog. Scarecrow, I'm serious. I'm talking about going down there. Thanksgiving, like maybe I'll drive. I mean, you don't have to do this. You may actually have Thanksgiving something. But hang on. How are we doing? I hear people saying the sound is cutting out. Is that true? I have 0.5% dropped frames. We should be good in that respect. Yeah. So I am going to be going back down there. My goal probably would be to fly on Friday, right? Because everything will be empty. Yeah. Okay. It's just that one guy whose sound was dropping out. Anyway, I do want to go back to that location and really try to rip it and get some better clips. Like I even watched bot grinders flight from that. I got to stop making fun of bot grinders flying. I don't make fun of people's flying. I'm super nice and encouraging. But I think I thought it was fun for a while to kind of be like, oh, that bot grinder, he's so bad. But then he got good. But like I watched his flight, his vlog. How does bot grinder? Let me ask you this. Why do you guys let him get away with it? Why don't you hold him to a higher standard? Because this is my impression of every bot grinder vlog. No, you guys, I didn't sleep last night. Anyway, we're gonna do some shit. Anyway, here's some flying. Oh, yeah, anyway, here we are. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. Okay. Well, anyway. You guys are all just like, thumbs up. But anyway, his flying has gotten pretty good. I watched his video, and he pulled a couple tricks, and I was like, I didn't pull that trick. I got to go back and try again. So I was never confused from the minute I saw Bot Grinder produce content. I was never confused about why people like to watch his content. It's just at the beginning, he was a beginner, a pilot. Then, yeah. Oh, his piloting got good too. Anyway, welcome to the stream, everybody. We're going to do some Q&A. You guys can ask questions. I'll answer the questions. That's how we do it. Let me give you a little glance here at my my control panel. This is what I got going on. You guys are going to chat. You're going to ask questions. I'm going to answer questions. That's pretty much how it goes. These folks up here are better than you. They're my patrons. They signed up to pay me. Thank you very much there, Cyclimbo. They signed up to pay me a couple bucks a month, and that means that they get to be on my Discord server. Don't feel bad. Not everybody can be that cool. And over here are the people who gave me a super chat. If you want to make sure that I get to your question, then hit that $sign right there. Throw me a super chat, and I will eventually read your question. Eventually, like a half hour from now. FPV Lovecraft. No, I'm just joking. You guys got to know me well enough to know when I'm joking. I like to answer everybody's question. The chat was lit on the stream last night. Unfortunately, and actually I got to check this stream. Something changed. When I make a new stream, I don't create the stream from scratch. I copy a pre-existing stream because it copies a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't have to do it all from scratch. Somehow, my streams have stopped saving the chat replay. And I don't know if that's an option. Like, I'm looking at the options for this chat right now. But somehow, if you look back, check this out. If you look back on my live streams, if you go far enough back, like, let's look at this one. You can see that, I got to make sure it's muted. You can see that there's a chat replay. Ready? Boom. Chat replay, right? But then, for some reason, somewhere between back then and now, like even, it's not just the Terence Howard stream. Like if you look at, is there, like the Q&A live stream, the chat replay is missing. No, see, live chat replay is not available. I have no idea what changed. I really literally have no idea what changed. So, because it's not like an option you can turn off. I do know that like there are things you can do to kill the chat replay. Like if you edit the stream, you can slice out a part of a stream. There are other things you can do, but I don't know why. Anyway. Thank you, Carbon Cage. Yeah, I don't know why my chat replays aren't playing. It doesn't seem like there's an option for it. So, anyway, let's get some questions. FPV Junkie says you left the F bombs out on the bot grinder video. Yeah, I leave out the F bombs. 46.1 million views. Where do I have 46.1 million views? I don't know. It's been several weeks since chat was included in the replay. Christopher Yachts, is that just me? Or is that everybody? Okay. Let's see. We're not doing news. We're doing news Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. In case you don't know. Have I tried Shark Byte with non-OLED goggles? Asks J-Rod's World. Yeah, J-Rod's World, I have. In fact, the goggles that I was using were the Attitude V6. They'll be out soon. They may already be out. The Attitude V6 are LCOS. They're not OLED. I don't know why people think that the OLED versus non-OLED is going to make all the difference. I mean, obviously OLED looks better, but as far as, range and reception, the display device doesn't matter. People were like, well, the range on the Shark Byte was such and such, but what if you were to use it with a different goggle? It's like it's just an HDMI output. The display is just receiving HDMI. So I don't think it should matter. But yeah, I was using LCOS at the time, if it matters to you. Black Moses, that's the guy's name. Don't hate. Black Moses says, that's why Steele fucks with Bot, because he's an OG. Congratulations, you got me to say F on the stream. Don't judge other people, Josh. You don't know me too well, do you, man? I'm not judging. Me and Bot are homies. That's why I can talk shit about him. I don't judge nobody. That's part of the problem. When are you rating FPV videos again? That's an interesting question. Me and Drew did a series where we rated videos according to a particular set of categories that I made up. People seem to really like it. I actually would like to do it again. Here's the problem. I don't want to, I've seen other channels do like a rate my such and such, but I don't want to pick on some people's FPV videos. Just I would love to just go to Reddit or whatever and just start rating people's videos. So I don't know, should we get contributions? I don't know, but I would love to do another rate my video. Yeah. Enoch FPV rated the FAA live stream today about drone STEM in schools. Very nice. Do you feel that different brands of solder are better than others? Yeah, Slidby FPV, 100%. There's cheap garbage Chinese solder, just like there's cheap garbage Chinese anything. Doesn't mean that everything from China is cheap and garbage, but I have had people, they buy the cheapest solder off of Amazon or Banggood, and then they're like, I can't solder, and it's because it's not made of tin and lead, it's made of something else. So, yeah, Kester solder is a very, very good solder. Ooh, Vishera, rate my video channel on this Discord. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm totally going to do that. Rate my video channel. Very, very nice. Broken Prop FPV says, I lost the washer between the bell and the stator. I think you mean the washer at the bottom of the shaft, the little bushing or washer that goes under the screw, the shaft screw. Can I use the EMX RSS motor belt pack and use the washer in that pack with my Eco 1? Probably. It's probably the same size. Yeah. How to connect any FPV goggles to drone, asks Avocado Miner. You need a video transmitter that's transmitting on the channel, and then you need the goggles to be on the channel. I think there's an aspect of your question that I'm missing. Dr. Steele. Dr. Steele, is that, are you Mr. Steele's father? Mr. Steele went to college and got a medical degree. Now he's Dr. Steele, huh? Or you just, I didn't go to medical school for 8 years to be called Mr. Steele. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Steele. Dr. Steele, what's the smallest GPS that will work with GPS rescue? The BN 180 is fine. It's very small. It's not the best, but it does work most of the time. If you do get the BN 180, make sure you run it off of 3.3 volts power. It says that it's rated for up to 5 volts, but in reality, it will burn up. Not immediately, but eventually. Alexander Romanenko, when can the world expect a JB Edition digital build kit? Alexander, I'm talking to Get FPV about doing a digital update to my beginner build kit. Also, I am going to be doing, man, I just have so much on my schedule right now that now I finally have all the parts to do my updated perfect freestyle build, and I don't have time to actually do it, especially because my editor went on vacation, which is a completely reasonable thing to do. But then while he's on vacation, I have to edit all my own videos again, just like I used to before I hired him. And it's a lot of work. So I will be doing both a digital and an analog version of the perfect freestyle build, because I know I don't enjoy flying analog as much as I used to. I don't. I'm a Caddx Vista guy. Now. So, but I know that a lot of people will be flying on analog, so I still have plans to release an analog version of the build. So that's coming probably in the December-ish time frame. So. DJI or Shark Byte? J-Rod's World wants to know DJI or Shark Byte. I think that the majority of people will be happier with DJI. That's I think a truth. And that's not just my opinion, but that is my observation of people who are using DJI and loving it. Shark Byte fits specific niches. The main niche or niche that Shark Byte fits is people who need to use an HDMI output to an existing goggle or display. Shark Byte has superior latency, but the majority of people aren't that sensitive to latency that they will care. DJI has vastly better range, vastly better image quality, and a vastly more polished user experience. I see people out there say, also some people just hate DJI for being DJI. I see people out there saying, Shark Byte is here. Oh yes, it's perfect for me. Thank you. But there just isn't that. It's early. Maybe I'll be surprised. But DJI goggles don't have good diopters with cylinders. Luciano V, you can order custom diopters with any prescription you want. That, like RHO Lens makes some. RHO-Lens. How would you compare Shark Byte versus the DJI Nebula image quality? I see the parallel you're trying to make there, Tiago Ramos. I think that Shark Byte could have better image quality if it had better cameras, and that the cameras may improve it. So, yeah. Is Shark Byte lighter? A little bit, Catherine, the pretty good in the Discord. Shark Byte, the single board Shark Byte unit is definitely lighter than any DJI system, but it only goes to 200 milliwatts. So it's really not for, it's for close-up racing. The Shark Byte, the full-size 500 milliwatt Shark Byte, it is lighter. It's it's I'm going to forget the actual weights. It's close to the weight of a naked Vista, but a naked Vista requires you to rip the heat sinks off your Vista. It's maybe a third lighter. I'm guessing. I don't know the numbers in front of me. I'm going to piss people off for getting the number wrong, but it's maybe a third lighter than the Vista. So. Yeah, it's a little lighter. It's not that much smaller. Let me get a couple of these super chats out of the way now that I have ignored them for a half hour. A day at the range, thanks for $5 and $5 more. Can you free up the S-Bus and use it for GPS? I'm going to guess you're talking about an S-Bus wire on a flight controller, like an F4 flight controller. The problem is that a GPS needs both TX and RX, but an S-Bus is just an RX. So you would need the TX. The other thing is the S-Bus is inverted. And on most flight controllers that have an S-Bus wire, you can't uninvert it. Although some of them you can. So probably you cannot use S-Bus for GPS. John Philpott, thank you for a $5 super chat. Will my new TX16s be able to bind to my XM Plus running 2.1 firmware? Yes, it can. John, the multi-protocol modules have two FreeSky protocols. One is FreeSky, and that is for firmwares up to 1.9. And then the other is FreeSky 2X, or FreeSky X2. Yeah, X2 I think it is. It's FreeSky X2. And if you have a 2.x firmware on your receiver, you use the FreeSky X2 protocol, and then it binds. Can you use a UART for SDA SCL, asks Big Data Pimp. Big Data Pimp, some flight controllers, instead of having broken out SDA SCL, will have it's usually UART 3, and I think that has something to do with the underlying architecture of the MCU, of the processor. You'll switch UART 3 using resource reassignment, and it'll become SDA SCL. So some of them you can, but don't assume it. Will Rakestraw, thanks for 99 cents. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Thanks for $5 in the super chat. Black box feature does not show up in the configuration tab. It's gone. The black box used to be turned on and off in the configuration tab. They got rid of that. Now it's just always on. Black box just works when it's there. Go to the black box tab and confirm that the SD card is inserted, but there is no black box feature anymore in Betaflight. I don't know when they got rid of it. It was a while ago. Any spoiler about the Shocker review? Lucas Lacco. Yeah, so the Catalyst Machine Works Shocker HD. I'm putting up a screen of it, but I actually have it right here in my hand. Here's the real deal. This is a Catalyst Machine Works Shocker. And Catalyst Machine Works sent this to be in my 4-inch long-range roundup. You see any problem with this 4-inch? What's wrong with this? There's nothing wrong with the Shocker. Kaiser Soze says, terrible name. Catalyst Machine Works names all of their quads after locker room innuendo. That's right. This is a 5-inch. So they sent me the 5-inch version, which, okay. And I said to him, why'd you send me the 5-inch version? And he said, well, I feel like the 5-inch version is actually better than the 4-inch long ranges you're testing. He said, basically, I feel like this is better than the Flywoo Explorer. It gets longer flight time, has more power, etc. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a 4-inch roundup. If I stick a 5-inch in here, I was like, you sell a 4-inch version of this too. If I stick the 5-inch version in, the internet is going to crucify me asking, why did you do the 5-inch and not the 4-inch? So he said, okay. And last Friday, he said, I'll build you another one and I'll overnight it to you. So literally tomorrow, I'm going to get the 4-inch version of this. And as a bonus, so I'm going to put the 4-inch Shocker up against the other 4-inch long ranges. And as a bonus, I'll do a 4-inch versus 5-inch, and we'll see if the 5-inch version is better. But that's why it got pushed out. Adam FPV, yeah, Catalyst does all their quads props out. So instead, today I tested this little guy. This is the Diatone 4-inch. And I got that edited, and it should be up tomorrow, I think. Tyler Harris wants to know, do I have a video on motor scaling? I do. Let's see. I have a video. This is the video I'm going to give you, Tyler Harris. In this video, you can see how to do motor scaling, but I conclude it doesn't work real well. So I'm not going to, there was a problem with that quad or something, but you can see how to do it. It's actually even better. Hang on. Where is Betaflight 4.2? It's better than is in that video because they have put it in the GUI. You really don't need a tutorial, man. I mean, you don't need much of a tutorial. Hold on. No, come on. Oh, please. Go over here. There you go. So, if you go to the Betaflight 422, yeah. If you go to the PID tuning tab, yeah. If you go to the PID tuning tab down here, you will find motor output limit, and just put the scale factor in here. That's it. So you want to scale your motors down to 50% or whatever? Go for it. Just put it in here and save it. It's that easy. Yeah, it used to be in the CLI, but it's not anymore. Kent H, thanks for 59 Swedish kroner, I believe. Please tell us more about Fat Shark Attitude V6 versus Skyo 4X. No competition, Kent H. No competition. The Attitude V6 is a budget goggle. I don't know if the price has been announced. Let me see if the price has been announced. I don't want to spill the beans. Not much will be known. Phaser FPV, Attitude V6. Rotor Logic. Okay. All right. Well, there's some listings up, so I'm not spilling any beans. Rotor Logic has it listed for $350. I don't think that's all prices USD. Yeah. Okay, so the Fat Shark Attitude V6, 1280 by 960 LCOS panels. So it's the same resolution as the HDO2, but LCOS instead of OLED. It is a good but not great display technology. Is LCOS better than LCD? I think so. It has a 39-degree field of view. That's not as good as the HDO2, but I think it's close to the HDO. And it's $350. The Skyo 4X is a better goggle, period. It's OLED screen. They are not OLED. I guarantee you they're not OLED. I mean, I have them. I guarantee they are not OLED. Let's look. Mine are not OLED. I can tell you that. They don't have it listed. Hang on. You think they're OLED? Hang on. I can't search in a Skype. Can I search in a Skype? Yeah. So, oh, here. Can I zoom in on this? No, I can't. Yeah, so this is a conversation with Greg French, the owner of Fat Shark. And you can see he confirms LCOS. So, So the Attitude V6, $350, LCOS. It doesn't have the same black level as OLED. For example, when you're in letterbox mode, you can like clearly see the edges of the screen, different from the top and bottom of the letterbox. I would take the, but the difference in price between, it's a $500 goggle versus a $350 goggle. So there you go. Quadenstein, keep ignoring the elephant in the room. I just am not paying attention to the chat, man. What am I ignoring? Let's see. Jared, thanks for a $5 super chat. Do you think the DJI system will eventually get smaller than the Naked Vista, or is it impossible to make it smaller? Jared, I guarantee you that if DJI wanted to make it smaller, they have the money and research dollars to do it. It's just a question of whether they choose to do it. Our hobby is such a small decimal point in what they do. Yeah, so they absolutely could make it smaller. They just haven't decided to yet. That's my opinion. Robert Myers, thanks for a $5 super chat. My Transtech F7 HD Mini does not have an OSD chip. That's because it's made for DJI, so it doesn't need one. Can I still get OSD with DJI? Yes. DJI reads the specs from the flight controller using the MSP protocol, and then it draws its own OSD. It doesn't need the max chip to draw. The max chip that draws the OSD works on the analog signal, so it doesn't need it. Yeah, it can. You need to get the MSP connection working, Robert Myers. The white and the gray wire from the air unit. There's an elephant hiding under your desk behind you. How do you know if bidirectional D-Shot is working, Sam Burns? Sam, you go to the Motors tab, and in the Motors tab, you will see underneath the motor sliders, E%. And that is the error percent. And if that says 100%, then bidirectional D-Shot is not working. And if that says 0%, then bidirectional D-Shot is working. If it really says anything other than 100%, bidirectional D-Shot's working. But it should say less than 1% in order for you to fly. Alex Travkin, thank you for a £3 super chat. Sharp Pizza FPV, very interesting question. In my DJI goggles, the GPS info is just displaying dashes for speed and altitude. The number of satellites displays, though. I assume you're flying, Sharp Pizza. I mean, if you aren't flying... Huh. That's interesting. I mean, do you all have GPS coordinates? Is the number of satellites 14, Sharp Pizza? Because 14 sats is what it shows when it hasn't locked any sats yet. I'm going to guess that your GPS is not actually working, and you're seeing 14 sats. Let's see if I'm right. Sharp Pizza will get back to me in the Discord. Buddy Boy 4774 wants to know, how do I get the wires that I need to solder up my receiver? Here's what I suggest. You don't have to buy this exact thing, but get something like this. Silicon stranded. No, yeah, this is the one I like. 26 AWG stranded wire kit. Doesn't have to be 26. You can get 28, 30 if you want something a little thinner. Personally, I think 30 is a little too thin for me. Take 28 AWG. How many strands is 30? 11 strands. Yeah, see? 30 gauge is pretty thin with 11 strands of wire. 28 gauge, I probably wouldn't go much past 28 gauge. 26 gauge I feel better about. You can make your own decision. But just buy yourself a set of this. The key characteristic is silicon wire. It's going to be super flexible. And then in about 26 or 28 gauge. Ethics wire kit, huh? Let's see. People saying the Ethics wire kit is perfect. Ethics quad builder cable set. What do we got here? I mean, it's cooler colors. 14, 18, 24. Interesting. 14, 18, 26, rather. Yeah, that's interesting. 14 is plenty for batteries. Some people use 12, but I think 14 is sufficient. These are the three sort of 18 gauge for ESCs, 14 gauge for battery, 26 for signal. That's not bad. It's only 2 meters of cable. Hang on. How many? Not that. How many meters is this? 33 foot. Pardon me, but I need to do a little math here. I believe that's 11 meters. 10 meters. So what are you paying for this? Buy now. Granted, it's not a... Oh my god, for real? Oh my god, come on. Oh my god. At least link to the damn product. 15 bucks. Okay, so here you're paying 16 bucks for a total of 8 meters, 6 meters of cable. Granted, it's different because it's some of it's like 18 gauge and 14 gauge, so it's more like per pound of wire. But here you're getting 33 foot. You're getting a total of like 80 meters of cable. I don't know. You'd have to do it by the pound. I feel like it's a better price to go with this stuff, but some people would like to support ethics, so maybe. What AWG wire would be good to make my own barrel to XT60 cable for my TS100? Damon, your TS100 is not going to pull more than a few amps. Like it's pulling 60 watts something, right? So 60 watts at 12 volts is at 60 divided by 12. It's 5. Should never do math in my head. It's 5. Oh, isn't that nice? It's pulling 5 amps. I mean, 18 gauge would be more than enough. 22 gauge, more than enough. You probably could get away with significantly less. 18 gauge is probably the safe one. Ghost Branch, is it different lengths of cable for different gauges in the ethics box? I see. Oh, I see. You're right. Okay, fair enough. We should be accurate about it. 2 meters of 14 gauge, 5 meters of 18 gauge, and 12 meters of 26 gauge. Okay, so that's actually pretty comparable because they have... So that seems pretty comparable. They have 10 meters of 26 gauge. Yeah, I'm going to guess that it's approximately the same number of sort of pounds of cable, just in different thicknesses. So the ethics kit is probably better then, because the ethics kit is giving you the 3 major sizes that you commonly use in one, whereas this one, I mean, in this one, you're getting more colors. It is nice to have different colors. I personally, I have a kit like this, and I am glad to have it. But then I also bought a couple meters of 14 gauge and so forth. So, yeah, sounds like the ethics is pretty fair. Shark Pizza FPV. Shark Pizza, do you have 14 sats? I think you're overthinking it, Christian. What's the AWG that the Nano RX uses? I have no idea. 26, 28, or 30 is fine. Do you need a special wire for everything, buddy boy? No, but you definitely want to use silicon wire. Silicon wire is shorthand for fine-stranded wire, and that means it can be very flexible and handle the vibration on a quadcopter without getting work hardened and cracking. You don't want to use thick-stranded or solid-core copper wire like you get at the hardware store. Also, silicon insulation, which is where the name of silicon wire comes from. The silicon insulation is easier to solder and easier to work with. So you definitely want silicon-stranded wire. But And having different colors is just convenient. Yeah, 661 FPV. I'm aware that silicon is the insulation, not the wire. Silicon is the shorthand for fine-stranded wire with silicon insulation. They just say silicon wire. I am aware that the wire is made of copper, not silicon. Yeah. Would you prefer graphene or LiPo bats? Asks Swamion PC. I mean, graphene batteries are LiPo. They're just LiPo with graphene in them. Some graphene batteries do perform better. Some graphene batteries are just pure marketing. It's not always easy to know which is which. You can get solid copper core wire with silicone insulation. I'm sure you can get anything 661 FPV, but usually when you look for silicone wire, what you're getting is fine strand silicone wire. Cyclimbo has all the sats. Thought that was going to be a helpful comment, Cyclimbo. Are 1404 motors too small for a 2.5-inch long range? Toady RZ, I struggle sometimes to know what the optimal motor sizes are because there's just so many variants in micros. But these are 1404 motors on a 4-inch, 250-ish gram quadcopter. So I think 1404 is definitely not too small for 2.5-inch, but it might be too big. Like, to me, 1404 is the characteristic size for a lightweight 4-inch long range. Huh. Yeah. Ciati says they're perfect. Well, there you go. Jacob Hutchins says my old-fashioned is missing some things. It's missing an old-fashioned. Alex! Can you get me another drink? Jesus. We're not even an hour into the live stream. I've already finished my drink. You be careful. If I have a second one, I'm going to start doing giveaways. Do you see a world where we have a single board AIO? Asks Ken Ford. I mean, that kind of has existed, but the problem is there's two problems with a single board AIO. One is that when any one thing breaks, the whole thing is shot and you're out the price of it. And the other is that the more things you put on a single board, the more likely something is to break. So, yeah. Carlos Botros, I didn't miss your super chat. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Carlos Botros, thank you for a $5 super chat. What do you think of the iFlight ProTech 35 and the iFlight Crystal? What is it? I'm not familiar with the ProTech 35. Let's look that up. I mean, I'll give you my opinion. ProTech 35 is a new quad from iFlight. Micro cinewhoops series. It's 3.5-inch props and can carry a full-size GoPro. I mean, that's a clever idea. I mean, as there's two ideas behind a cinewhoop. One is that it's a certain size, and the other is that it has prop guards or ducts so you can fly it close to people or objects without risk of damage. So if you look at the Cinerat from Mr. Steele, it is positioned like a cinewhoop, but it doesn't have ducts. It just has prop guards. Now, a lot of people are flying these 4-inch quadcopters, and the advantage is you can carry a lot more weight on a 4-inch than a 3-inch or a 2-inch. A lot of people are doing like a 95 millimeter, and you just can't carry a full GoPro, not with any authority. So this is a pretty cool idea. It's a pretty cool idea. What it comes down to in the end is how it flies. If it can't get the footage, if it can't get the shots, then it's not any good. But it's a clever idea. Yeah. Have to see how it flies, though. That's the end of the day. What about the iFlight Crystal? Now, I haven't tried the iFlight Crystal antenna, but I have the Axie HD on my goggles, and they work pretty good. The iFlight Crystal has similar specs to the Axie HD, but comes in some much cooler. If their website would load, comes in some much cooler designs. The iFlight Crystal replaces your whole front plate, whereas the DJI, the Luminar Axie HD sticks to the front plate. Ciati says the fact that they didn't make the ducts circular is really upsetting to him. You think I'll end up reviewing the iFlight Beast H7? Asks Copter6112. That's an interesting question. I mean, the Beast H7 is... I'll tell you what, Dominic Clifton said he was impressed with the engineering that went into the Beast H7. Dominic Clifton is the guy who invented Clean Flight. He's also the guy who invented the SP Racing line of flight controllers. And I'd like to tell you, I'm not going to show you the chats, okay? Because that would be a violation of privacy. But this is what it's like being on Dominic Clifton's chat. So-and-so, really crappy engineering. They should have a capacitor next to the gyro. And there's this other mistake that they made. They don't even know they made it. Like, he just is super passionate about engineering. And you can see that in his designs. And he is also super critical of everyone else's engineering. Maybe I'm not I just nod and I go, yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? I don't know. But Dominic Clifton said, have you seen the iFlight Beast H7? iFlight, that's a really great piece of engineering. I was like, who are you? And what have you done with Dominic Clifton? So, I mean, I just have to assume the Beast H7 is amazing. The specs are amazing. It's a 25 millimeter all-in-one H7 processor, 55 amp. 55 amp ESC. I'm so skeptical about the amp rating on these things. However, iFlight, what are you doing? iFlight, you cannot put the bootloader button behind the USB port. No one will be able to get at that when it's in a stack. Oh, wait a minute. It's not going to be in a stack because it's an all-in-one. Shit. I would like to say the other company that Dominic Clifton spontaneously congratulated was Newbie Drone. He said Newbie Drone's making some really good flight control. I don't know what it is about. He's so over my head. What is it they're doing right that everyone else is doing wrong? I have no idea. Maybe I should ask him. But he was super impressed. Here's the thing, though. This freaking thing is $90. It's $90. So you got to really want it. Because if it dies, for any reason, you're out $90. Compared to like a $45 or $50 flight controller or a $50 or maybe a $60 ESC. On the flip side, you could easily spend $100 or $110 on a high-end flight controller and ESC. That's not actually that much more than $90. I take it back. Anyway, it's pretty expensive, but it is pretty amazing. What frame would have mounting for a 25 by 25 board? Owen Crony. So, Owen, I was confused about this too. Very recently, I've been looking at these micro long range 4 inches, and they all have this 25 millimeter mounting. The 25 millimeter mounting is for the toothpick style of quad. It was originally, I think, a tiny whoop size. It was used on tiny whoop frames. And then it moved to the 3-inch toothpick and the 2-inch toothpick frames because they were using the tiny whoop flight controllers. And now people are making these all-in-one flight controllers for up to 3 and even 4-inch and maybe even 5-inch quads. And they're in this 25 millimeter form factor. So That's the 25 millimeter form factor. There's a surprising number of frames out there that are cut for it. Not too many 5-inch frames, I don't think, but lots of 3-inch toothpick and 4-inch frames are having this 25 millimeter spacing. Catalyst shocker, yes, they have it. Basically, all of the 4-inch long range have 25 millimeter spacing. Pretty Fly for a white guy wants to know if I've flown the diatone in any wind. The 4 inches are not spectacular in the wind. The 4 inches at the formula for these 4-inch long ranges is a 1404 motor and a 3000 kV. And depending on your weight and your battery voltage and so on, you can get into situations where that is not enough power. If you get into a headwind, or you just may not be able to get home with the 3000 kV motors, especially if you're trying to go ultra long range and running them on 3S, which some people do. The other problem with the micro 4 inches in the wind is they're much less stable. And if you're in the wind, they'll bounce around a lot more, whereas the 7 inch is going to be more stable. So like, if you are trying to get Gab 707 style mountain cruising, you're probably going to be wanting a 7 inch or even a 10 inch maybe. But a 4 inch could do it, but it'd get blown around a lot by the wind and your footage would be ruined. But the 4 inches are great for just fun flying and in the right conditions also get good footage. Cyclimbo wants to know when the M4Q charger is going to come into stock. I have no idea, dude. I don't know about that. James Carnes, does the T-Motor F55A Pro F4 stack we used with the DJI Air unit let you use 4S or 6S? James, all of the DJI flight controllers have a voltage regulator, so you can run off a 6S. You should check that before you ruin your Air unit. But that's the whole point, right? Every single one of them has a voltage regulator to let it run on up to 6S. So double check it, but I would assume yes. The T-Motor specifically, I will say yes. Riding Durance, I think for $5. Any reviews of any 7-inch drones coming out? Like the Road Rider, the iFlight. I gotta say, I mean, it's gonna take me basically all of November to finish doing all these 4-inch quads. I'm not sure what I want to commit to yet. Maybe. Siati says 4-inch with 2004 motors is rock solid and will carry a Session 5 shockingly well. Well, Siati, then I think that's where the Catalyst Machine Works Shocker is going to really impress, because this is just a 5-inch quad. It's a really lightweight 5-inch quad, which means that durability is compromised, but since it's a cruiser, you're not supposed to crash it anyway. So I think this has potential to be a really interesting GoPro carrier. Whereas on a 4-inch, you just have a lot more trouble carrying the weight of that heavy camera. Interesting. 507RC wants to know about the person who was responsible for the FPV footage that was at the end scene of the John Oliver's Last Week Tonight episode today. 507RC, I may know who that is. I was in a interview recently, and one of the hosts of the interview name dropped that he was just talking about work he'd done, and he said he'd worked for Last Week Tonight, or whatever the name is. I assume that's probably the same person, but I don't think he's here right now. Tyler Harris, thanks for $2. What's the best way to build whoop gates? Is 14-inch a good size? Well, let's look at the official Tiny Whoop gates. Because if anybody knows what the best size for a Tiny Whoop gate is, it's our old friend Jesse Perkins, Mr. Tiny Whoop. Siati, what's the best size for Tiny Whoop gates? Oh, they carry the Weebleed FPV as well. Tell me what size it is, you. Tell me what size it is. Ah, come on. Yeah. Oh. Tiny whoop cube gates. Well, those are square gates, though. But tell me what size it is. Oh, my God. It won't tell me the size. I will say, these micro race gates from Newbie Drone, I've got those. These are 16.5 by 16.5. I'm looking over at them. What about the circular ones? The circular ones are harder. They're smaller. These are 8.5 inches. Oh, no. That's the... Yeah, I think the 8.5 inches is pretty tight. And 16 inches is probably as big as I'd want it. So, that's what I would say. Best way to make them? I don't know about that. I mean, it's probably... What's the best way to make them? Aber the Ham says circular gates are typically 19 inches. Aber the Ham says the tiny whoop gates are 27 inch in ID. Oh, 8.5 inches is what it collapses down to. Sorry about that. So it looks like other people are saying between 27 inches and 19 inches is the typical size. The International Game of Whoop, which is a tiny whoop freestyle racing competition, uses 19 inches. Looks like people are saying the tiny whoop gates are 27 inches. $19 inches is standard for multi-GP as well. Nero DE wants to know what's better, to get a TX16S and upgrade the CNC parts, or a T18 and upgrade the charging port. I mean, the T18 with the 5-in-1 module, personally, I'm not that interested in. The 900 megahertz module is compatible with FreeSky R9, and to me, that's like, why would you want that? FreeSky R9 isn't that great. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So why do you want a third-party module that runs a reverse-engineered firmware? You reverse-engineered something terrible, and now you're terrible too. Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit. I know there's people out there that use R9 and are fine with it. The thing with R9 is when you get the right firmware installed, then it works fine. But that process of finding the right firmware and getting it installed can be a humongous pain in the ass. Whereas with something like Crossfire or Ghost, it just takes care of it. It's amazing. So I'm not that excited about the 900 megahertz module on the T18. Now, the T18, they took, I don't know if they took my advice, but they took that advice, and they released a version of the T18 without the 900 megahertz module, and it's like $20 cheaper. So now you could buy that, and it's probably an okay radio. Personally, I like the T16. I've used the TX16S as my daily driver, and I'm pretty happy with it. UAV Tech says, what about Express LRS? Put it on the R9. That is an option. That is an option. The Express LRS is interesting. Not everybody is up to the steps of freaking compiling it and stuff, though. Ladrib is in the chat. Hello, Ladrib. How's it going, dude? 661 FPV. Just use Flex, FCC, ACCST. Oh, but I bought the 2019 modules of the ACCST firmware. Is it going to work? I don't know. How do I flash my R9 receiver anyway? It doesn't have a plug. I have to use serial pass-through to flash it? Oh. See what I'm talking about? Oh, but it has over-the-air firmware updates. Only if you have the 2019 OTA module and an OTA receiver. Oh, I bought receivers, but they weren't OTA receivers. Now I can't do over-the-air updates. Etc. Nico FPV, why would the 1200 milliwatt DJI hack have way worse video? I'm going to guess you're not at 1200 milliwatts, or maybe you have a damaged antenna, and by cranking higher power through it, like you're overheating it and causing it to lose power. It shouldn't happen. Express LRS is not easy, Abraham. I mean, the guys who are doing that are going for performance and just like to nerd out. It would be really hypocritical of me to complain about the hassle of flashing R9 and to then be like, but Express LRS is amazing, because Express LRS is also a pain in the ass to flash. Let's see here. Vishera is trying to get an answer. What do you suggest as the next step if I successfully bound my receiver, but I'm not getting stick inputs in Betaflight? Vishera, we really got to go to direct messages for that one, because there's so many steps that I have to ask and you have to answer that doing it on a live stream would be pretty tedious. I really want to fit the Caddx Vista into my CL1. Is that possible? Fernando de Silva, the Vista will fit into almost any frame that will fit a 20 millimeter stack. So the Rotorite CL1, I think it'll probably fit. An air unit is a different story. So let's see here. How do I see the back? Does that, I'm sure it has. Yeah, I can see it from here. So I think a Vista will fit in a CL1. Drib, can you confirm the CL1 will hold a Vista? I mean, in theory, maybe the standoffs would be a little too tight. I think it's fine. UAV Tech says, Express LRS is low-raw at 200 hertz. TBS is not. That is true. Express LRS, neither Crossfire nor Tracer are low-raw at 200 hertz. Low-raw is an amazing technology for sensitivity and range. The problem is that as you go to higher update rates, you run out of bandwidth and you can't do telemetry anymore. The way that Express LRS handles this, UAV Tech, correct me if I'm wrong, is they don't transmit all the channels all the time. They'll transmit the first 4 channels, the main control channels, at 200 hertz. And then they'll transmit the aux channels at a lower rate, and that saves them some bandwidth. Crossfire at 50 hertz is low raw and has unbelievable range because Crossfire also goes up to as much as 2 watts. So you have the best of both worlds with Crossfire 50 hertz. You have low raw. I mean, low raw will go tens of kilometers on 25 milliwatts. Never mind 2 watts. So Crossfire 50 hertz, just to the moon. But then in Crossfire, when you go to 150 hertz, then it's FSK, which has terrible range. But you still have 500 milliwatts or 2 watts or something. So he's still pretty good. But it's nothing compared to low raw. If you then compare that to like Immersion RC Ghost, it's low raw. I think it's low raw all the time. I heard a rumor that pure race mode was not low raw, but I'm not sure that's true. So Immersion RC Ghost, no matter what update rate you're going to be using low raw and have incredible range. And then Tracer is not low raw. It's something else entirely, which seems to kind of be in the middle, but I'm not really sure about that. Anyway. Keith Brigadier, is there any way to type line comments into my Betaflight dump file that the flight controller will disregard? Keith, yes, put a hash mark or pound sign in front of them. Like so. Keith Brigadier. Just put a hash mark like that. They'll be ignored. Nick Sebring wants to know, what video goes that far? Well, Nick, that's a valid point. The point that I always like to make when we talk about control links, I mean, I'm not the only one to make this point, but I do like to make it, is as long as your control outruns your video, then who gives an F? Shut up. And the truth is that at 500 milliwatts, even Crossfire, 150 hertz, will outrun most video, certainly outruns my video. So who cares? Well, some people do go, like 0.1% of pilots or something, they do go tens of kilometers out. I don't know how they do it legally. I'm not asking. Maybe they're not in the USA. But there are people who shoot video that far. So maybe they want a control link. I don't know. I don't like to. Yeah. Twin turbo Stang. Good point. 1.3 gigahertz can go that far. Excuse me. Holy crap. VHF Gamer. Is that for real? The multi-protocol module supports radio link now? That is something that like 5 people are about to be very excited about. Like once every 6 months, I get a question. Hey, I'm trying to switch from radio link and I have a bunch of radio link receivers. Can I use a multi-protocol module? And I'm like, no. So, yeah. So that's cool. Blunty's not here. I mean, we got to put that in the news. Put that in the news. That's definitely newsworthy. Hang on, I'm gonna message this to it's Blunty so we can put it in the news. Hello, where's my Discord? Oh, there's my Discord. It's right here in front of me. All right. Hail Blunty, Lord of the Patrons. That's a good-looking man. Oh, wait, not here. There we go. That's a good picture, too. Dylan Chubbs, thanks for a $5 super chat. Best long-range micro that you've tried so far. Dylan, I'm going to tell you the answer because you gave me a super chat and I feel like I owe it to you. But I don't want to spoil my roundup. And suffice it to say that the roundup comparison will have a lot more nuance. I think if I had to pick one of them so far, but wait, don't hit that buy button yet. I would probably take the Chimera. The iFlight Chimera flew pretty well. It was pretty smooth. It handled pretty well when I pushed it to do acro stuff. And I feel like the 3800 kV motors give you the option of having a little more power. They're not as efficient as the 3000 kV motors, but if you say to me, oh, you can only go for 28 minutes instead of 42 minutes. Well, I just made those numbers up. Don't take those literally. Oh, wow, that's a big drop, but who cares? I don't need to fly for 42 minutes. I'm not trying to go to the grocery store. So I probably would take the Chimera. However, I haven't tested the Catalyst Machine Works Shocker, which could be the best of all of them. But the Catalyst Machine Works Shocker, the 5-inch at least, is not sub 250, which is going to be a deal breaker for some people. John Larson, thanks for $5. What's Radio Link? It's a type of radio out there. Doesn't run OpenTX. Some people use it. 661 FPV is always sticking up for R9 in the chat. I don't want to sound like I'm like just bashing you. I just disagree. R9 is as easy as 2.4. Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. They're both really hard to keep up with the frickin' firmware update nonsense. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of FreeSky 2.4 either. Yeah, so. I know there are people out there who want to fly for 45 minutes. So they would look at the 3000 kV iFlight Chimera versus the 3800. And if I don't know what the efficiency difference is. I think it's only, from talking to iFlight, I think the efficiency difference between the 3800 and the 3000 is not as big as like 25 or 30. It's more like in the range of 10 or 15%, to be fair. So that's like, instead of 30 minutes, you get 26 minutes. It's not that big of a difference. But the ability to have the additional power of the 3800 kV when you need it, I think, is substantial. Oh, I lost oh crap, I lost track. I was saying, yeah. But I know there's people out there who care about the most possible flight time. And for them, the 3800 kV is a non-starter. I mean, if Dave C wanted 3800 kV, he would have gone with 3800 kV. Fernando De Silva, thanks for a $3 super chat. Two-Stroke Pirate, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have a new QX7 access radio with full-size Crossfire module. Do I need to perform the baud rate mod? The new access radios do not need the inverter mod, so you're fine. my unpaid non-existent intern named Alex. It's true. I do not have an intern named Alex. Alex is just the one I scream at when things go wrong. Have you checked out the Foxeer T-Rex? Its 1500 TV line looks close to digital. The thing is, the no, I haven't checked out the Foxeer T-Rex. But the thing is, there's only so much you can get through a standard definition feed. Never mind that then you run the standard definition feed through a crappy wireless link. So I don't care if it says it's 1500 TV lines or 1200 TV lines. That's all a bunch of BS anyway. Nobody actually measures TV lines. Do you know how to measure TV lines? Do you know how to actually measure it? No one does this. Oh, crap. It's a frickin' PDF. No one does this. What is a TV line, anyway? TV lines refers to vertical lines of resolution. The horizontal resolution, I'm trying to find some graphic here that demonstrates this fact. The horizontal lines of resolution on a feed like this are fixed by the, like, NTSC or PAL. It'll have 575 or whatever, 620, I think, I'm not sure, lines of resolution. The TV lines refers to the vertical resolution that can be resolved by the system. And so the right way to do it is to use finer and finer alternating lines and count until you can no longer resolve them. So TV line, and the reason that you have to do, why isn't it just a fixed number like a resolution? And the answer is because this is an analog system. So we have a certain number of fixed scan lines, and the scan lines are discrete. There are 575 scan lines, I think is the right number for a PAL. Is it 525 visible and 575 total, including the blanking interval? I'm not sure, but let's say it's 575. So there's 575 scan lines, and that's it. That is your vertical resolution, period. But the horizontal, or the horizontal resolution, is it the vertical? Shit. Yeah, the horizontal resolution is defined by the frequency response of the analog circuit. How quickly can the signal be pulled around? And so there is no fixed horizontal resolution for a standard definition feed. The only thing to do is to measure how many lines you can actually resolve. Now, no one does that because all of these sensors are digital. So they say, this is a 600 TV line sensor, this is a 500 TV line, 1200 TV line. But the point is that the number of TV lines that the sensor can resolve does not mean that you are going to get that much resolution on your screen. Especially when you run, because first of all, they buy the sensor, they stick it in the camera, and they say this is a 1500 TV line camera, but they're not talking about all the analog circuitry that supports the camera, and then you feed it into a crappy video transmitter, and you transmit it over the air. Have you ever looked at the difference between a DVR recorded on board the quad versus a DVR recorded in the goggles? the wireless transmission, and then at the end you have some resolution. My point is this: there's only so good a standard definition feed is going to get, and the fact that somebody gives you a 1500 TV line camera, maybe it looks good, but it's not. That number is arbitrary and sort of made up and not at all verified. So, does the T-Rex look good? I don't know. There's not even any. Hello. There's not even any sample images. Hello? What's it look like? I don't know. All right. Oh, Foxier flight controller can do camera control. Isn't that nice? Old Gravy Lake says the T-Rex was a significant difference from the Predator 4. I mean, I do believe it. I mean, they're probably using a different, higher resolution sensor there. It's probably better resolution, but to say that it's almost equal to digital is... I'm so skeptical about that. Mackenzie Stoles, thank you for a $2 super chat. Bad Manners FPV, thank you for a $2 super chat. Would you recommend the KI FPV covert frame and why? I've never heard of that. For a $2 super chat, I'll at least look it up. 576 lines of PAL and 480 lines of NTSC. PAL is not interlaced? Are you sure about that, a bike too many? I'm pretty sure PAL is interlaced. Ken Hill, I don't think that 16.9 is NTSC and 4.3 is PAL. I don't think that's right. Both NTSC and PAL are... I mean, they were invented in the days of 4:3 aspect ratio displays. They don't actually assume any particular aspect ratio on the display device, though. The display device can stretch the image to any horizontal width. PAL is definitely not interlaced. Really? I did not know that. I might have one time known that, but I didn't know that. Well, that's a big argument in favor of PAL. So PAL is 25 frames per second, non-interlaced, and NTSC is 30 frames per second, but interlaced 15. Interesting. Other people are saying PAL is interlaced. I thought they were both interlaced. Let's find out who's right. PAL is 50i interlaced. Boom. Yeah, okay. PAL is 50i interlaced. It is interlaced. Okay, that's what I thought. If TV line is superficial, then what metrics should an analog camera be judged by? Asked Huff19. I mean, Huff19, I judge the camera by its image quality, and resolution is one characteristic, but frankly, most analog standard definition cameras have poor resolution. So the difference in resolution doesn't seem night and day to me between like a 1200 TV line and a 1500 TV line or whatever. My major characteristics that I look for in a camera is like light handling, dynamic range. Can I see into the shadows? Does the exposure algorithm freak out when the sun is in the view? Those are the things I look for. Or just go digital and never look back. Yeah, Bannister Post, thank you. The lines of resolution is not even about the sensor, but the lens can affect the lines of the resolution as well. Definitely. Should I buy digital now or wait till spring to see if a Gen 2 digital comes out? Alexander Romanenko. Alexander, I have been saying for a while now that no one knows when the next version is coming, but the DJI product life cycle tends to be about 18 months if you look at the Mavics and so forth. If that were true for the DJI FPV system, then spring 2021 would be when the next one would come. Now, if you were saying, should I buy now or should I buy in January? I mean, Black Friday is just about to come up. Then December with Christmas. It feels like if a sale was gonna, DJI never goes on sale, but it's rarely. It feels like if a sale was gonna happen, like the end of November and the Christmas season probably might be when it would be. There have been rumors of a V2 goggle. That some dealers were saying that the goggle was put on discontinue. So if that's true, obviously I'm not a dealer, so I can't verify that, but a guy posted on RC groups. We had it on the news, 6 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday evening. Me and Blunty are doing the news. Be the third episode. They said that the goggle, the V1 goggle, was discontinued. Do not reorder. Well, that means either they're making a new one or they're getting out of FPV. You decide. I think today I would probably wait. It feels like there's too many... Like, people are always kind of antsy. Should I buy now or should I wait? And I'm usually just like, just buy. But with Christmas, Black Friday, and swirling rumors that the V1 has been discontinued, it feels like the time is to wait. Could be a skew revision. Totally. Fitzflights, you're totally right. We cannot know. We cannot know. But it just feels like right now it's probably worth waiting for a couple weeks. Black Friday is only 2 weeks away. Christmas is only 6 weeks away. Anyway. How are you liking Frostbite? D. Mahalko. Cost per performance worth it? Any possible ETA on the Attitude V6s? D. Mahalko. Attitude V6s are almost out. I actually found a product listing for them on one website. So I think they're very, very close. $350 for an Attitude V6 with an LCOS screen. Somebody's going to feel like that's the right balance to get a Fat Shark goggle. The thing with Fat Sharks is you know that you're getting a solid goggle. It's built well, and they have support if it has a problem. Sky Zones are built well. Eachines are usually built okay, maybe not quite to the standards. The key thing with Fat Sharks is you get the support. If anything goes wrong, nobody's perfect. If anything goes wrong with Fat Shark, you get a support. Hey, Phantom FPV, I haven't seen you in a while, man. How's it going? Good to see you here, man. So, Shark Byte, value per dollar. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. No, not Byte Frost. So, value per dollar. This is a tough one. I think a lot of people expected Shark Byte to be cheaper than it turned out to be. This same bundle was $250 introductory pricing. It's $368. Is that comparable? What do we got here? No goggles. No, thank you. Oh, there's the Attitude V6. $350 confirmed. No receiver antenna. No transmitter antenna. That's not an upgrade. That's just the antenna. It doesn't come with an antenna. So let's see. Let's configure this. We're gonna need antenna, obviously. I would stay away from the stubbies personally. I like to get them up above my head. So we're gonna go with a Luminar Axie 2. We could save a little money by getting the older Axie. And then we need the MMCX antenna. So we'll get that. Doesn't come with that. These are pretty premium antennas. We could probably save a few bucks. And we are at $413 for a camera, a VTX, and a receiver. Whew. I mean, I don't know, you gotta really want that. $550 for a DJI goggle, $500 for a Fat Shark HDO2, or more than that for an Orca. And then what do we got? We got the receiver. I mean, that's part of the goggles. How much is the VTX and the camera by itself? The 500 milliwatt VTX is, wow. Oh my God. Well, wait a second. Wait a second. The 500 milliwatt VTX is $68. The 200 milliwatt VTX is $20. Jeez. Oh, it's discounted with bundle. Can I look at the individual price? No. $20. That's now I'm interested again. $20 is pretty. Plus the money for an antenna, so $30. Don't have the camera listed here separately, so we still don't know how much the camera is going to be. $70 for the VTX plus another. It feels like it's not enough cheaper than DJI to make someone who's on the fence go, yeah, let's do it. Oh, it's $50. It's 50. That small video transmitter is $50 when bought by itself, says Cement Kid. Droidman FPV says, why do you think DJI is going to release a V2 if they have no competition right now? Droidman, I have no idea, but DJI has just been cranking out the updates for no freaking reason. Why did DJI give us 50 megabits per second? They were crushing it with 25 megabits per second. They had no competition. And then they gave us 50 megabits per second. Why? They're just like, yeah, sure, do it. I don't know. Will the Byte Frost VTX work with the Shark Byte? Yes, I haven't confirmed this myself, but people told me that it does. Get FPV still shows the V6 as an OLED. Big Data Pimp. Well, they need to update their listing. I have it, and I can tell you it doesn't look like an OLED to me, and Greg French, the owner of Shark Byte, told me it was an OLED. So I think the listing is incorrect. Um, 507RC points out that DJI has had no firmware updates since the spring. That also may be a sign that something's in the works. I don't know. They used to release firmware updates really fast. So the challenge with Shark Byte is that it feels like the price point Shark Byte has placed themselves at, and this is just my opinion, is that you have to really want what they're bringing. If you're on the fence, you're going to get a much better system in terms of image quality, range, build quality, support. I mean, Shark Byte, Fat Shark is good, but I mean, DJI is just they're on a whole nother level, right? If you really want what it's bringing, like HDMI out or the consistent latency or the analog style breakup, then you're going to look at this and go, yeah, okay, I'm doing it. But it feels like the price and the performance and the value proposition is not enough to sway someone who's kind of on the fence. That's what it feels like to me. Monkey FPV says, I thought Shark Byte would be rapid fire price for the module. It's too pricey for the performance, I think. I mean, there's definitely people out there who are looking at Shark Byte and going, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to thank you. You fulfilled all my dreams. But those people are, it's a smaller slice than if it was cheaper. Sean Powell, thank you for a $20 super chat. Airbender FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Does Betaflight 424 no longer support RGB LEDs? There's no longer an LED tab in Betaflight. Airbender, I'm going to guess that you have an older flight controller, like an F3 based flight controller. Betaflight has gotten too big to fit in F3s. So if you're upgrading from like 4.0 to 4.2, you may have lost LED strip functionality. That's probably what happened. Daniel White, thanks for 10 pounds. How do you fly mode 3 on the DJI FPV controller since it only shows mode 1 and 2? You don't. It doesn't support mode 3 as far as I know. I don't think it's possible. KISS doesn't allow channel remapping like Betaflight. Maybe it's time to use maybe it's a little, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah, but I want to do this thing. No, it's not simple enough. KISS keeping it simple. Can't do that. Copter612 points out you have to flip LED strip on in the configuration for the tab on the left to show up. That's a good point, Copter612. That's a good point. Maybe he hasn't turned on the LED strip feature in the configuration tab. Siati, you were trying to figure out my sense of humor before. So simple that it's impossible. That's my sense of humor right there. Jay Sherrington wants to set up FPV on a DJI Mavic Pro. How should I set this up? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to fly a Mavic FPV? Okay, I don't judge. I mean, I would get a video transmitter and a camera and just solder them together. You could even get a TBS Unify, which comes pre-wired to plug straight into a camera. Probably just get a little 3S battery or 2S battery. Don't try and tap into the Mavic's battery. And just stick it all on the Mavic with, like, Velcro or something. And, away you go. Fitzflights wants to know, will the TBS Fusion work in an Eachine EV300D? I feel like it's the only upgrade path for me without going all digital. Yeah, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. The EV300 takes standard Fat Shark analog modules. In reference to Mark's comment. UAV Tech says, there's a lot you can't do in KISS. Don't fall for it. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm going to piss somebody off. KISS isn't that... People are like, oh, KISS is so easy to set up. It isn't that much easier to set up if you're coming in cold. Okay? Because I set up a KISS... I set up a KISS quad a little while back. And I know, it's not that complicated. I'm not saying it's hard. But I'm saying there were all kinds of little fiddly things, like the freaking idle up. You got to set the min throttle. How is it that the idle up, the idle speed is related to the throttle relationship to the motor? I don't know. I'm not even getting it right. It was like, okay, you gotta set the idle up by changing the min throttle to the idle speed of the motor, and then you look at the... I'm using D-Shot. There's no idle speed 1070. I'm using D-Shot. That doesn't exist. 1070 is a PPM value. D-Shot doesn't have that. You go, oh, it's so simple to set up. I mean, except there's all these... There's some little quirks you got to know about. So watch this tutorial. Well, if I wanted to watch a tutorial, I'd just use Betaflight. It's so simple. KISS flies good. KISS flies good. I'll give it that. It flies good. I'm not sure it's simpler to set up. It's simpler in that there's fewer options. But you still gotta... Anyway. You know what's simple? Falco X. Basically just holds your hand. Falco X is like, hello, sir. Oh, you're new here. It's your first time. Don't worry, sir. We've got this all handled. Step this way now. Just move your sticks in a circle. Yes, sir. Very well done. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to flip your arm switch. You ready to go? Oh, I've just detected your receiver type. Yep, you got an S-Bus receiver. Oh, very nice choice, sir. Now get ready to flip your arm switch. You ready? Oh, I detected you flipped your arm switch. Good job. Okay. Now you're ready to fly. Have a good time. That's Falco X, man. B-Man FPV wants to know, what would cause a camera to burn out mid-flight? It's been wired up the same, no changes. The only thing new was the ESC. Tried another camera on the bench, worked for 30. Measure the voltage. Voltage across the pad's 22.5 volts. I don't know, man. I mean, that's what I would do, is measure the voltage. The camera's not okay for 20... I mean, that's just it. 22.5 volts, right? Tiago Ramos. And then Falco X tries to kill you. Yeah, well, okay. We're just talking about the setup, though. We're just talking about the setup. B-Man FPV, yeah. I mean, I'd be looking for weird voltages and solder bridges and stuff. Eirik Toft. Eirik! He says it's pronounced Eirik. Now I feel like I'm talking to a frickin' Viking. He probably is a Viking. Eirik Toft. Thank you for $5 super chat. What will limit post-flight lines shown in the OSD? I've configured 6. Only the first 4 are shown. Ooh, I don't. So, ooh. I don't know the answer to that, man. I mean, maybe some of the lines you're configuring don't apply? Can you configure all of them and see if you can get more than 4? Maybe some of the lines you're selecting, like GPS distance. Well, if you don't have GPS, then it doesn't work. Why does KISS insist on not putting an OSD chip on the flight controller? Thank you, Monkey FPV. Let me tell you a little story, kids. Back in the day, like 2016, way back in the ancient history of FPV, if you wanted an OSD, you had to buy, it was called a Minim OSD. It was a whole separate board. And you soldered it to a UART on your flight controller. Oh, that doesn't sound so bad. Yeah. And if you wanted to configure it, there was no pass-through. You had to connect it up to an FTDI adapter and plug it into USB on your computer and run this stupid, janky Java application to configure your OSD. But we liked it. We had OSDs and we liked it. And Minim OSD, I'm talking anything. You want to move your battery voltage up? Plug in that stupid frickin' FTDI adapter. You want to update the firmware on the OSD? Oh yeah, the OSD had its own firmware. You think you got to flash a lot of firmware now? OSD had its own firmware. And then one day, Betaflight put an OSD on the flight controller. Was it the Fury? Was the Fury? I think the Fury was one of the first. And the Omnibus was one of the first to have built. Omnibus was also was the Omnibus the first to have an SD card? I think the Omnibus might have been the first to have an SD card. Or maybe the Fury. Oh, I'm getting old. Anyway, whoever it was, they put it on there. And I said to myself, I am never again buying a flight controller that doesn't have an OSD on board. Because that stupid FTDI adapter Java GUI BS, I was like, forget it. And that was the day that KISS became dead to me. But KISS flies so good. Don't care. I am not going back. Oh, but you could get a Mr. Steel PDB and it's got the OSD built in and it's got a USB cable. You don't even need an FTDI adapter. Don't care. Not going back. Anyway. TNA by Derek J. Great name, Derek. Thank you for their $5 super chat. Your suggestion for best out-of-the-box freestyle quad under $300. Thanks for all your help. I have a couple of, I assume you're talking analog. I have a couple of iFlight Sedora SL5E that I'm banging the shit out of and really like, and they only cost $200. Now it's the Nazgul V2. That's not to say that it's the best. There are other good ones out there, but those are ones that I have beat the crap out of and really, really like. So, can you put a microphone inline on the smart audio wire for TBS VTX Slid B FPV? No. I don't recommend you combine a microphone with smart audio. It can mess up both of them. Sebastian Gramano, thank you for noticing. I am a little congested tonight. I don't know why. Sometimes I just get congested. Don't worry about it. I've also been running a low-grade fever and coughing, and I don't know. I got a flight to catch tomorrow, but I'm sure it'll be fine. All right. It is 9:45 p.m. We're coming to the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti is going to be chatting, streaming tonight. He will not be streaming on his own channel because he got a copyright strike. Shouldn't have uploaded that Avengers movie, Ciati. He's going to be streaming, I think, on Little Stellar Fox's channel. So he's going to start posting that link soon. I hope you guys will go check it out. How does Mr. Steele get audio then? His video transmitter has a separate audio input, separate from the smart audio line. That's how. Buzzkill wants to know, how long do you think F4 flight controllers will be good for? UAV Tech, help me out on this. Betaflight 4.3, has it announced any feature drops for F4? I don't think that it does, but I'm going to wait for UAV Tech to confirm it. So I think F4 will be 100% functional on Betaflight 4.3, which is coming out soon, like January-ish timeframe. And then the next version is likely to be about 6 months after that. So I would say F4s will be fully supported in Betaflight. It seems like at least through summer 2021. All right. We got about 10-15 minutes left on the stream. It's worth... oh, hang on. Aerospace Inc., thank you for a $10 super chat. Got a question in batteries and charging. Where are you at, dude? Aerospace Inc. If you don't have the same... Aerobrat. Is that you? Aerobrat. What's... killing batteries in 1 minute. And the battery's mostly full. So you're having a ton of sag. If you're having are you having a ton of sag on a Tiny Whoop battery? Those Tiny Whoop 300 milliamp hour batteries can be just really crappy. Do you have very good batteries? It could be voltage drop through a bad solder joint on the pH connector, maybe. Let's talk about it some more, Aerospace Inc. You can DM me. Pavel Kolesnikov, thanks for $10. Cyclimbo, thanks for $2. I'm doing good, man. I want to take a few minutes at the end of the stream to address some of the questions about last night's stream that people have been asking. I've been holding off on that because I figured I'd give you guys a good old dose of the regular stream. But I have seen your questions coming in, some of them less respectful than others. In case you missed it, it's up on the channel. I had Terence Howard on my stream, and he announced his $25,000 contest to make a new kind of drone. Drone in a specific shape that he's very fascinated with. And there was some positive feedback. Not all of it was positive. I don't know what to say. I can't decide how to feel about it. When I first heard someone said, "Hey, we're doing this project with Terence Howard." I'm like, really, the Terence Howard? They're like, "Yeah. Do you want to get involved?" Yeah, okay. Like, who would say no? I mean, I didn't know a lot about him at the time. But frankly, say, yeah, I have a characteristic of my personality is that I am kind of cynical by nature. I don't know if you can tell that. And I hate every new idea that I hear that I didn't come up with. So like if I wake up and I go, you know what I want to do today? I'm super thrilled. But if you come and you like, hey, will you do this thing? I'm like, no. It's just how I am. But I've overcome that by compulsively saying yes to things instead. If you have tried to get me on a live stream, you probably don't feel that way. I don't say yes to everything. But somebody comes and says, well, do you want to do a drone-related thing with a major Hollywood celebrity? It's like, I don't know how that's going to come out, but the answer is definitely yes. Let's hear more about that. And then as I got to know more about the project, I realized I got off my first phone call with Terry and I was like, oh my God, this guy is really out there. Like the flower of life and the sacred geometry and the 1 × 1 = 2. But hang on. I've been to Burning Man. I have sat around while people talked about really wacky ideas for long periods of time and thought they were dissecting the nature of reality and all that. And I don't judge. It's not my thing. Not without the right kind of enhancement, it isn't. But it's usually not my thing. But I can nod along and go, okay, cool, dude. Yeah, just do your thing. Let me see. If you have the crazy idea that one race is superior to another race and one race needs to be extinguished, no, that is a bad idea. I am not going to nod along and wait while you act that out. But some ideas are harmless. They're just like, okay, you do your thing, man. Maybe you'll figure something out. You're happy. You're not hurting anybody, and you're happy. You're making some other people happy. I'm cool with it. That's basically how I felt about it. The flip side of that is that is this challenge, and I think it's a more interesting. I think a lot of people were so turned off by the sort of woo-woo stuff that Terry was talking about that they missed out on what is actually a really interesting engineering challenge. Pavel Spikowski, the iNav dev, did a video on his channel talking about why the type of mixer that is required to do what Terry's asking to do is actually really difficult. More people say Omnicopter has already been invented. Yeah, but it was a cube. A cube is actually easier to do than what Terry's... Now, why does he want to do it? Is there a good reason to do what he wants to do? He would say yes. Other people would say this is stupid. A cube is a better shape. But I thought, you know what? If this guy is going to put up $25,000 to somebody in the FPV community who can solve an interesting problem, I think it's an interesting problem. And the thing is, when you solve interesting problems, even if you solve them for dumb reasons, sometimes you learn interesting things. So before I got in on the project, I talked to some other people in the FPV community. I'm not going to say who because I don't want to put them on the spot, but people who are developers, coders, etc. And I said, what do you think of this? Is this a fair price? Is this ridiculous? Some of them said it's ridiculous, I wouldn't touch it. Some of them said, no, I'd try it. And in fact, at least one of them, who I will name names because he's public, is Kevin Plaisir, the EmuFlight dev, has applied to be in the contest and he thinks he can do it. So some people said it was a fine amount of money and could be done. Other people said it was dumb. They didn't want any piece of it. I was like, okay. So at least some people think this is an okay idea. At least some people think it's a good amount of money. There's some wacky philosophy behind it, but I can just nod along. And that's kind of where I came to. I definitely appreciate the that is somebody saying all of math and physics is wrong. Oh, by the way, I need some people who understand math and physics to build me this drone. I certainly appreciate the irony in that, to say the least. Yeah. So I firmly believe another thing that people were upset about is the potential that this is just a ripoff. Like that he's not going to pay out or that he's just looking to steal somebody's intellect. And I obviously don't know the man other than to have had several phone calls with him over the course of working on this project. He feels very sincere to me, and he feels like he's been screwed over by people in the movie industry. I mean, that's not... he said that publicly. And he has been very clear that he wants to make sure that everybody involved in this is taken care of fairly and that he is not screwing people over. He's talked about his whole 1 × 1 = 2 thing is about not leaving anything out. It's a metaphor for basically being fair and not screwing people over. I've never seen a sign of dishonesty or anything. I mean, obviously, I don't know. If he screws somebody over, I'll feel bad. But I'm not like, I don't have a secret insight into his mind. Now, Ciati, don't do that. Don't say if we can't trust Joshua, then who the hell can we trust? Because at the end of the day, I mean, he could just be a good liar. I haven't known him the way that like I know my kids or I know my wife. I can't predict his behavior. I will say, he seems very sincere about just finding someone to do this and taking good care of him. So that's my read on it. Nate Diesel Girl, thank you for bringing up the domestic violence. I did not know. I didn't know a lot about his background. I knew him as an actor. As soon as I announced I was doing the contest, several people were like, do you know about this guy's history of domestic violence? And I'll be honest with you, I was like, well, you know, celebrities, a lot of rumors swirl around celebrities. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, no, I see. Not only has he been accused of domestic violence by multiple people, he has actually kind of admitted to it in interviews and said, yeah, I did that, but... And it's like, okay. So, yeah, I didn't know about that. I appreciate the people who brought that to my attention, and I will definitely be taking that into consideration going forward. At the point that I had committed to do the live stream, I definitely felt like it was too late to back out. Anyway. Yeah. I wanted to get that out there because I think there were people who were like, how could you bring this guy? You are about data and science and so forth. And I am, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the time of day for somebody who isn't about that when they bring something else to the table. And I think that the things that Terry brought to the table, there are people out there who hear his woo-woo stuff and go, oh my God, this is just what I needed. And again, as long as you're not hurting people, I don't judge that. If people find meaning in what you say, then more power to you. When you cross the line and you're taking their money and you're separating them from their families, or you're saying people in my cult are better, and that you've crossed the line. But I don't see any of that. The potential to do good things for individuals in the drone community and for the drone community at large seem to me to be a net positive. Anyway, I did want to get that out. I appreciate you guys being here. And now we're back to the regularly scheduled live streams. It's 2 minutes to the end of the stream. Aaron Ciotti, got to post the link to his stream. He's going to be streaming at 10. Who won the giveaway? I haven't drawn the giveaway yet. I definitely understand that people who saw that and went, I don't want any piece of this. Because, look, there's definitely people out there who are interested in solving practical problems. There is no practical use for this thing that I can see that isn't better served by abandoning this attachment to this specific shape. But it's his ball game, so he gets to call the tune, right? You call the tune at a ball game, right? So I definitely appreciate that there's people who aren't interested in just chasing this flight of fancy because they have an academic curiosity and or the desire to win a chunk of money. I'll be interested to see how it plays out, though. Anyway. Not many people are interested in helping a Hollywood cornflake, VHF Gamer. Yeah. I have to say, I found his pure sincerity and a very pure sincerity about the idea. It's a wacky idea, but I find it, if somebody feels like they're saying weird things and they seem like a scumbag, and you're like, okay, get out of here. But if they're saying weird things and they seem really sincere about them, then it didn't turn me off. Anyway, how much am I going to have to do with this linchpin contest in the future? Co's FPV, like I said, the history of domestic violence definitely matters. The analytics of the stream, I mean, it may be something that if I considered working on it in the future, it may not be something that isn't worth putting on my channel if the analytics show that it didn't really connect with my audience. We'll have to see. Anyway, that's it for the stream, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern Time, if you're awake in your time zone, for the news with me and It's Blunty, but that's going to do it. Go watch Ciati's stream. He needs it more than ever because he got a copyright strike and he's locked. He can't stream on his own channel, so he's taken over other people's channels. Definitely needs your support. Good night, everybody. Happy flying.